chocolate bunnies, collared eggs, empty tombs, and CEO Sunday. What do all these things have in common? Easter weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, so right off the rip, happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
I will say this is the most exciting weekend, Easter holiday weekend of the year in all of Christendom. This is the reason for our entire religious belief.
Or
is
it
the
should
celebration
be.
this that's
or
true.
It should be.
Yes, occasionally people do think of Christmas, which is wonderful, and I love it. But really, the resurrection, this is the whole purpose of everything we do. This one event.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to dive into this a little bit, talk about the importance of it, maybe tiptoe on some traditions, and see how it goes. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with the funny one.
Okay.
I did make a comment right off the rip here. CEO Sunday.
Yes, explain. What does that mean? What
Yes.
does CEO Sunday mean?
Yes, as opposed to what you might be thinking, it is not when all the bosses show up at church to pray for forgiveness for the sins they've committed the past year. This is actually for the Christmas, Easter onlys.
Yep. Christmas, Easter only.
Yes, this and usually the Christmas Eve service are the two highest attendance of churches in all of Christendom, are these 2 weeks.
Yep. And it's also the most likely Sunday for new people to come to church.
That just hit me. This is the Sunday for new people. Oh my golly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wow. So that is a double-edged sword.
Yes, it is.
We want a lot of new people. We want everyone to hear about the good and wonderful news of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
But if they walk in and everyone's like bumping into each other and mad and maybe a little bit of a fight near the altar, they're going to get a very interesting vibe about this whole Christian thing.
While we're on the funny thing, I saw this video this week where it was like, all pastors on Sunday this week. The story you are about to hear has been told before. But we're going to do it again, but different.
That's so true.
That's what every pastor this Sunday. That's exactly what they're doing.
It's like we all know the story they're going to tell.
Yep.
And they're like, well, we got to make it interesting. How about you just make it factual, all right? Just believe it. This is it. This is the whole purpose of our entire faith, is this one event.
Yes, and there definitely is this, like, I don't know what you call it, but like push to make Easter like a holiday within the church, but it then ends up manifesting itself in just like trying to reinvent the wheel every year.
Yeah, there's something about a simple story told in a simple and maybe passionate way, though.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to, like you said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is simple. Come out there, tell the truth, but more importantly, live your life as if this is true.
Yep.
Because people can tell.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, for a moment here, why don't we get into a little bit of the history, the story, and the theology behind Easter, and then we can jump into maybe some of the more modern takes on it. So, obviously, Easter originally started as a holiday to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. Today, anymore, it's not as focused on that. But, I would like to say that everyone would know the story, but I'm not sure that everyone does.
That's actually a good point.
Like with Christmas, everybody knows the story of Santa Claus. And with Easter, you would almost make the assumption, but I'm actually wondering here now, like if I say everyone knows the story of Easter and the resurrection, but I don't know that everyone does.
So let's do a high level then.
Yes. So, if you've been watching, this will be the final video in our religious series, specifically focused on Christianity. And the resurrection is the pinnacle of the belief system in Christendom. And this kind of wraps up the whole full circle of the Christian faith. And if you've been watching our previous videos, you know what leads up to this. But essentially, Christ lived his life on earth, and he was crucified on the cross and was buried in a tomb. That is a very, very short snippet leading up to the resurrection. The resurrection's whole essential story and impact is the culmination of an incredibly large number of fulfilled prophecies and hope brought to the world. Mm-hmm. And that manifests itself in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, hence the term. So, Joseph, why don't you give us a quick rundown of how the resurrection impacts faith and a quick story on the morning of the resurrection.
Absolutely. So, St. Paul said it best here. If this event is not true, Christians are the greatest of all fools. So, this is one of the cornerstone beliefs of all of Christendom, is that you believe Jesus rose from the dead.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, resurrection morning, the women go to the tomb to take care of the body. Jesus has been dead for 3 days, and he's been buried.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sorrowful day.
Mm-hmm.
Previous day was Passover weekend, so they had to wait till today to go prep the body effectively. And as the women show up, one of them technically, then they realize, oh my gosh, the stone has been rolled away. Now, this wasn't like a little rock. This is a massive multi-ton stone. Requires a lot of people to move it. And starts having a little freak out. The stone's been rolled away. Walks into the tomb. Oh my gosh, the body's gone. Jesus is gone. What has happened here? And in a panic, well, any of us would be in a panic there. Oh my gosh, they've stolen the body.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, an angel or angels, depending on which version you're going with here, basically say, he's not here, he's risen.
For he has risen.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the most iconic phrases, for he is risen. Right there. So the women go back, tell the men what's going on here. They don't believe them.
No, specifically Peter.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for the future pope. So, Jesus then, shortly after, appears.
Yes.
To them, confirming that he is risen.
Not only to the disciples, but also continues to appear to what is estimated to be over 500 people over the next several days. And the importance, one of the major importances, Jesus rose through his own power. Yes.
Proving that he had power over life and death.
Yes, and I want to focus on that for a moment here. That statement right there is the pinnacle of Christian faith. And a lot of people have probably heard that phrase, and I remember as a kid hearing that, I'm like, well, what does that even mean? Like, what about the resurrection makes it the cornerstone of the Christian faith? And essentially, the focus there is that Jesus died on the cross to provide a pathway of salvation for each and every one of us. But in order for that to be fulfilled, he had to raise again on the third day. And the reasoning that ties everything together is because it demonstrates Christ's power over death. And that might sound odd, but if you can't believe in a all-powerful God if death is still the end result. Christ's life on earth would not have been fulfilled if he couldn't defeat death. If him dying was the end of the story, then there is no fulfillment in not only part of the several prophecies, but also the plan for salvation.
That
Because
just makes him another man.
yes, because if Christ can't overcome death for himself, then he can't overcome death for each and every one of us. And that is what makes the resurrection so powerful.
Death is the final equalizer.
Yes.
At the end of time, and of each of our lives, we all have two guarantees: taxes and death. And when someone can, by their own power, that's so important. It wasn't that someone else rose him from the dead, because at that point we would worship the other thing.
Yes.
But through his own power, he conquers death and comes to show us basically that he wasn't lying, that he destroyed and rebuilt the temple in 3 days, his body being that temple.
And I think that's the gist of the story for people who are not Christians, is that the resurrection was the proof that God had the power to overcome death for each and every person.
And it's a wild story.
It is. And we're not going to try to tell the entire story tonight.
But let's give credence to those who are like, didn't happen.
Doubting Thomas.
Thomas saw him alive.
Still didn't believe it.
It's like, but are you really? I mean, so much so that all of Christendom knows him as Doubting Thomas.
Yes.
Like, he had to, touch the holes. I mean, that's one, a little morbid. Can we say that?
Absolutely.
But, wow, just give people grace who don't believe the story. All through the Old Testament, these guys saw miracles and still turned away.
Absolutely.
So for the disciples to see Jesus and then have some doubts, okay, that's okay. And then us 2,000 years removed in the era of AI and everything's fake, it's okay to give people some grace on this. They'll get there.
To a point, though.
Oh, absolutely.
To a point.
You want them to make a decision of yes or no. That is vitally important. But give them some grace at the beginning.
Paul even, I'm paraphrasing here, but Paul writes about that exact topic, and he's essentially is saying, my heart goes out to the Christians in the future who won't have the experience. I think it's Paul. Was it Paul?
Could be. I'm drawing a blank here.
I may be incorrect on it being Paul, but I remember reading the verse where essentially it's, his heart goes out to the Christians in the future who won't have the experience of the early church and the direct accounts of people seeing Jesus or being around him, because even then people doubted. And without that instrumental eyewitness accounts, secondhand accounts, literature being written in the time, that type of thing, even then there were people that doubted.
Yeah, and it's okay to doubt. It's not okay to not make a decision about that, though. You're allowed to say, look, I believe this happened. I'm taking steps as if it did, but I don't understand the whole thing. You're not supposed to understand every little thing about God. If you could, we can't put him in this box. It's not how this works.
No.
But this is the fundamental belief.
Yes.
He did raise from the dead to save us. He loves you. You watching. He loves you. He wants a relationship with you.
Yep. And Easter is a celebration of the completion of Christ's work on earth and the defeat of death.
And as he did that, he went and he talked with his disciples, appeared to many people, and at the end gave the Great Commission. Go into all the world, making disciples, was it baptizing them and teaching them? And that's where all of this comes to.
Yep.
This is our job. One of the side benefits of what we do here is we're hoping to help bring people to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If it's through here, if it's through conversation, if it's through thought, this is what we're here for.
Yeah, and at its core, Easter is a celebration of that opportunity. It's a celebration of the hope that we have because of Christ's resurrection. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. If our King can raise himself from the dead, really, what do we got to be concerned about?
Yeah, it's a celebration of hope.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Easter is, at its core. So, now that we've kind of covered the historical and theological background to the holiday that we know as Easter, let's talk a little bit about today's traditions, some current social thoughts and takes on the holiday of Easter. Specifically, the whole Easter bunny eggs type thing.
I'll be honest with you. I don't really need an excuse to eat chocolate bunnies.
Hot take, the Reese's bunnies aren't that good.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
The Reese's peanut butter eggs, though? Those
Meh.
are great. Really?
Meh. Yeah,
Okay.
not my favorite.
All right. Another.
Also,
Go ahead.
it's going to blow people's minds. We're getting off track here. But
No.
Peeps, horrendous.
Yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan of
I don't know
Peeps.
who eats those, but you need to
You know who eats them?
check with a dietitian.
People.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh! Feeling good. All right. So, also, I know everyone's going to get it, most likely, but the budget chocolate crosses, it's like chalk. I don't like them.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
No.
Not my favorite, but
I like my name brand chocolate crosses.
I can understand that.
Okay, so which tradition do we want to learn about first?
Well, I think, why don't you share with us a little bit about how the Easter bunny and the whole egg thing got involved in Easter?
So I'm going to go with the egg one first because I'm real unsure on the bunny one, what I've read. I'm trying to piece it together, and the line, it's not like this. It's like... So we're going to market a lot of that up to marketing. So we'll come back to that.
Okay.
But the coloring of the eggs thing, I believe the story goes, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, y'all, that after the resurrection, Mary Magdalene took an egg over to the emperor as a gift, saying he is risen, and I don't know why she took an egg, but like as a gift. And he said, yeah.
Just like a regular egg?
Regular egg. I'm sure it was some kind of special gift in that era, some symbolic thing. And apparently the story goes, he said, well, if he's risen, color the egg would be red, or, make the egg red or whatever. And the egg turned red, which is why on some of the old iconography, you have Mary holding a red egg.
Is that a legitimate story, though? Like, did that actually happen?
I was looking it up on the way in today, man. I don't have all the full history, but that's how I've read that. That's where we get the coloring of the eggs.
That's interesting. I've never heard that story before.
Right? But then there is the iconography of Mary holding an egg.
That is true. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, how is it that we've been here for like a long time and we don't know that story? That's a phenomenal story.
It is, but
even as a lore, that's phenomenal.
I wonder if it has to do with like the Protestant side versus the Catholic thing. Like maybe it's taught in the Catholic Church, but not in the Protestant Church because it's a Catholic tradition.
That could be, and not to go off on a tangent there, but we've had this discussion before of how can one culture believe something and another one have a totally just missing view of whatever they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's really malice. I think it's more convenience. Okay. Given if you have a Protestant and a Catholic, and given the chance to read a book by Francis Chan or by Pope St. John Paul II, 99 out of 100 Protestants are picking the one by Francis Chan. Just out of convenience. They trust it. They know it a little bit better. And just by natural time, you end up not learning about the other side very much there.
Okay.
But no, that egg story, I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. Like, really interesting.
Yeah. Well, so another thing I want to talk about is, and I'm curious if you ever went to these as a kid, but Easter sunrise services.
No, tell me about this.
Okay, so they're not common hardly at all anymore. You don't find them. But they were much more popular, our parents' time or even our grandparents' time. And the church that I grew up in them still did them. Now, I never went to them because it was at the crack of dawn.
Like actual sunrise.
Like actual sunrise. So it's a church service that's held Sunday morning of Easter. At wherever, usually outside, if the weather permitting, and it's at sunrise. So you actually watch the sun come up. Daylight starts 30 minutes before sunrise, so give or take there. But essentially, usually it's about 6:30, I think. You have a short church service, usually focused more on worship songs and celebration, stuff like that. It's not a lot of talking necessarily, and it's usually not very long, but it's a church service celebrating Easter at sunrise and usually outside. Now, I never
be all over this. I love this idea. This is phenomenal.
I'm not a morning person, and
well,
having
actually,
to go.
No one was mourning after he rose either, so we were all celebrating.
Anyway, the kind of background to that is it celebrates the when the women were going to the tomb in the morning, they went very early in the morning, and that's when they found the empty tomb. And that's the kind of background to that sunrise service is you are celebrating the empty tomb at sunrise.
We should be doing this. I love this idea.
I don't hate it. I'm not a morning person, so I'm probably going to go to like the 9:30 service.
At that point, he's left the tomb already. You missed him.
That's an interesting thought, actually. Is like, was it at midnight on the third day? When did it happen?
I bet you there's like some decent lore on this.
I bet there is.
Like, are we talking like sun comes up and he's gone already?
Well, I'd have to look at the verse, but I believe the women went at sunrise. Like it would have been like our very like dawn timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have wanted to try to get there as early as possible because he would have been in the tomb over the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have wanted to try to get that finished as early as possible.
Interesting.
Also, have you ever heard of the whole cloth theology? Well, or not theology, but like
the Shroud of Turin?
Yes. Have you ever heard of that?
Dude, I spent more than a couple hours on this.
Okay, we're not going to spend a couple hours on this.
Yeah, we're going to spend like 10 hours on this.
No, we're not.
All right, my one-liner on it, I'm sold. I'm in.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
fair enough.
Have you looked into this?
I know like slightly more than surface level on it.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
Why don't you share what this is?
So the Shroud of Turin is the burial cloth that is claimed to have been what Jesus was wrapped in, and which was found in the tomb.
Yep.
Because when they went into the tomb to find the body, they found the cloth folded.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's super interesting. Kind of a baller move. First thing Jesus does, wakes up, raised himself from the dead.
Could have been the angel.
That's true. And he said, I got to make my bed. Come on now. Makes me chuckle just a little
I feel like
bit.
it was the angel.
You think it was?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, Jesus is over there like a big stretch. And the angel's like, oh, one moment here.
Okay.
So, due to they've done some testing on this, some very interesting items on.
To be clear, they claim to have this cloth today.
Yes, like it is in existence right now in a museum, locked away in 2026.
Is it at the
If you dare say the museum in Turin.
Anyway, but no, so like 2,000-year-old cloth they claim to have that was famed to be the cloth that Jesus was buried in. What makes it so interesting and special is that it has a, shall I say, imprint on it.
Yes.
Of a face.
A face
and
blood.
And what is, what would you call it? Claimed or is thought by a lot of people is that it's the face of Jesus.
And when modern science attempts to recreate the exact patterns that are on this between the blood spots and all the little intricacies, the image, that imprint, we can't figure out how they've done it. So if this was a fake, they were using some ancient technique that we can't replicate and have no idea how they possibly pulled it off. It appears that the imprint on it was made from light.
Yes. So the similar, I've heard some things that similar scientific studies have found that we can replicate similar things by taking intense amounts of light, and it will essentially copy an image onto cloth with the amount of energy in the light. It's essentially like copying an image onto cloth using light, but it has to be extremely focused and high energy light.
And would that be light and power that, in theory, did not exist 2,000 years ago and barely exists now?
So, yes, there's no obvious way that would have been recreatable at 2,000 years ago, because we can only do it in a lab with specialized equipment. The idea behind it is that it's created by either A, the light of an angel, or, go ahead, explain. You know a little bit more about it.
Well, I actually hadn't heard the light of an angel, but that it was the light from Jesus emanating out from himself.
Yes, that's the more prominent one.
Okay.
But I guess an angelic light source.
Heavenly,
maybe is a better way of putting that.
Yeah, super interesting to look into the history on that and the stories and how it survived and how it's here, and the studies that have been done on it, the redacted studies that have been done on it, and the corrections that have been. Dude, this is like a real interesting. This is also a full museum and a full study that you could do on this, like multi-year commitment. Super interesting.
It is very interesting. So do a little bit more research on that.
And when you look at, like, not going into the whole thing, but you can track the number of, like, spots and, like, thorn items on Jesus' head by counting them. It's like, if this is not it, someone had to die in the exact same recorded biblical way, which we're not saying no one else was ever crucified.
And then the question is, how did it get transposed onto cloth?
It leads to a lot more questions.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be? This would be so cool. This is real.
We don't have time in this video.
Oh man, come on. Fine.
All right, so let's talk a little bit today, about today, the church service of Easter and Sunday morning, and how that applies to society today. Okay, specifically, why Easter is so popular for new churchgoers, or just in general, such a high count of people going to church on Easter? Because I've always been curious about this question. If you don't go to church, what would make you go to church on Easter versus any other church or any other day of the year?
Could it be marketing? I mean that respectfully. Like, what if this is the 1 or 2 days a year where Christians are like, we should probably invite somebody today.
Okay. I think, yes, it could be due to marketing, but I want you to ask yourself, in the past week, how much marketing for church have you encountered?
I've done a fair amount.
Okay, but that doesn't count.
I'll tell you, this is what I've encountered.
If you're an average individual who doesn't go to church, where would you encounter marketing to go to church on Easter?
That's a great question. What if it's, and hear me out, a bit more non-direct? So, like, for example, if you go to the store today, you're going to see chocolate crosses.
Are you? I mean, I'm sure somewhere, but the vast majority of the marketing is now about Easter bunnies and eggs and chocolate and candy.
Sweet tart jelly beans that are only available for one part of the year, and I'm upset about.
Calm.
Have you ever had a sweet tart jelly bean?
I have. Okay.
All right.
I mean,
just
calm
one.
Down.
No, you had. Was it one? Did you have a bag full?
I didn't need a bag full of jelly beans.
Okay. Look, I had way too many. All right. I don't even know how many, but it was pounds. Pounds.
You have a problem.
I do have a problem, but that's why the Lord only made them available once a year.
I don't think the Lord did that. I think you just need some self-control.
You Armenian, calm down.
No, so I actually am very curious about this, and I'm sure there's some statistics or data out there that would prove it one way or another. But it's interesting to me that in 2026, so many people go to church on Easter.
Okay, hold on. I was thinking of this. What if it is a little bit that old world era? So, grandparents, it was expected that you would go to church on Sunday in the 1950s, right? Just more of a cultural expectation.
Okay. But I want to halt you there for a second.
Okay.
2026, the vast majority of grandparents, you're starting to shift away from the 1950s. Now, I know that's going to blow your mind.
Oh, that's right. It's not 1999 anymore.
The age of grandparents is shifting further. And I hear the argument you're making. But I could make the same argument for several other holidays, specifically Christmas and whatnot, but I don't think the same thing applies. Now, I know Christmas is another highly attended holiday, but it seems to me like there's some unwritten rule that, like, you have to go to church on Easter Sunday.
I'm cool with that rule, by the way.
I am too, but it's always interesting to me why so many people go on Easter.
You know what we could do? Let's look at, and in a week, let's look back at some data points and see what was attendance, things like that. Now, I will also say, maybe it's a bit spiritual. Maybe, there are certain denominations in Christendom who are seeing a bit of a push, a bit of a calling back to the church, as it were.
Well, that may be part of it.
You don't know when you're at the beginning or middle of a revival. You can only see that looking backwards. I've been seeing some hopeful things in the last handful of years.
Okay.
We're going to bring those data points another day here. But yeah. I'm wondering if it's actually in here.
It might be, and that would be wonderful. I'm always curious what drives that. So let us know what you think. Why do so many people come to church on Easter and not more than any other Sunday.
Hmm.
So, I think in conclusion here, I think obviously the focus on Easter should be the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But not just go to church on Sunday, Easter morning, because you feel like you have to, or your grandparents or your parents did, or your spouse does, but because you truly understand what the meaning of Easter is. And that is that we have hope because of the resurrection. Any final words? He's got nothing.
Just to give a Knight's Tale quote.
Okay, all right.
Moments like these are far too rare to use heavy-handed words. Keep it simple. We have a Savior. He loves you. He died for you. He rose from the dead to personally save you. And if you were the only one who he could save, he would do it again. And he cannot wait to meet you. Get a relationship with him. Jesus loves you guys. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.